Hey everybody, welcome to another Goody Reader review video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Today we're going to check out the iPad mini and give you a full hands-on, give you a sense of the hardware, the software, and show you the ebook, magazine, and newspaper experience, because really this tablet is geared towards reading first and foremost. You have a 7.9-inch screen, so it's a little bit bigger than your traditional Android tablet. Resolution is 1024 by 768. It features a dual-core processor, and of course, like most Apple products, you have 16, 32, or 64 gigs of memory. We have the Wi-Fi model, although it is having cellular capabilities, so you can get the 4G LTE models. Of course, you have cameras on the front and back, and the weight of it is actually pretty solid. It's clocking in at about 308 grams, and the Kindle Fire HD was a little bit heavier than that.
It was, yeah. This is surprisingly light when we were just holding the box and when we cracked it open. So
okay, so why don't we get the full 360?
Looking at it head on, you're noticing a much more rectangular appearance than the classic iPad, which is more square. So you're looking at more of a 16 by 9-esque appearance than a 4 by 3. Have your camera up top, front facing, and the Apple button down below. On the top, you have power button, 3.5mm headphone jack, and you have a microphone. You can kind of see everything in one shot almost. You have a camera here, and you have the slider button or slider selection that you can change to orientation or volume.
So this is again 5 megapixels, and the front-facing one's 1.2.
We also have volume up and down. Nothing remaining on the left side. Nothing going on the right, which offers a very clean look. And you have not one, but 2 speakers finally. And the lightning connector for the bottom, not the traditional 30-pin.
So if you want to convert it to a 32-pin or a 30-pin rather, you'll have to buy an adapter from Apple. It's roughly about $25, $30, but it'll allow this to be used in all of the old accessories made for the 32 pins, like docking connectors, docking stations, audio, things like that.
Exactly, and this is the Wi-Fi model, but you can get the cellular model, and it does accept SIM cards. Now, just an important note that this is a full SIM card. You'll notice that a micro SIM is about half that length, and this iPad is actually running a nano SIM, which is just the contact patch. So if you have a micro SIM, it actually will not work in this. You do need the new age of SIM cards, which is the nano SIM. It's about yay big. It's just the size of that. So that's an important note.
Okay, cool. So let's take a look at the software and the ecosystem and everything. As you can see here, this is the main home screen. It's very much akin to previous models of the iPad. You have your game center where all your scores, contacts, your App Store, iTunes, iMessages, FaceTime, all that jazz. Of course, you do have the mapping function here. And you could pretty well just zoom in on particular things if you want to. Those are mountains, of course. We do have the latest version of iOS. And of course, as I said before, you could run software updates. As you can see, we got the latest update that was just pushed. One of the cool things is iCloud. You could kind of store everything. When you go into, say, the App Store, if you've had other editions of the iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, you can kind of click on purchases. And what this will do is show you a listing of all the apps you've ever purchased. So I could download it from the cloud and it'll install right to the iPad. Just simply click on the little cloud button here and it'll install. I like it. It's,
easy as that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the drawbacks of, say, like a Microsoft Surface was and it didn't really allow for a lot of easy downloading and installing, and a lot of tablets suffer from this too. BlackBerry's kind of notorious for that. So you could see that when you first power on your iPad mini, you get the podcast app, iBooks, iTunes U, Find Friends, and Find Phone. Find Phone's basically, it works with tablets as well. So if it gets like stolen, you actually get some GPS tracking. iTunes U, of course, is all the university textbooks. In a recent iPad update for iBooks, it actually introduced continuous scrolling. So you can see that we don't really have any PDFs or anything like that yet, but we can click on books, and here's some of the books. So you get some of the funky page turners animations. I mean, really, the iPad mini excels in reading books, both in landscape and portrait mode. I can never get enough of that.
I love it.
Of course, you can tweak the brightness of the screen depending on what type of environment that you're in. You probably, if you're reading in bed late night, you probably don't want a very bright screen. So you may want to tone it down, but of course you can go to themes and go to nighttime reading mode. It's a little bit easier on the eyes. I can't get used to this, you know, as much as I read, and I'm quite the voracious reader, I can't get into that. But there is a new scrolling feature where instead of doing the page turns like I showed you, you can look at it and just scroll like this. Some people who are used to reading more the RRS feeds or, you know, all that type of stuff, you can do it.
I wonder who that is.
Did you mean to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you press and hold on a word, for example, Peter, you can make highlights in different colors, which we usually don't see on many tablets. You can box as much as you really want.
Hey, and there's the word Michael.
Oh, look at that. We got both of us going on here.
That's awesome.
You can also, oh, we'll get into another one here. You can also make notes.
And the background of the note is the same color as the highlight.
There you go. So you can make notes, you see there. Search in book. Search the web, of course. Search Wikipedia. So lots of options. And of course, we're on scrolling, so it's as if the entire book is pre-rendered, ready to go.
So one of the drawbacks about iOS in general is that Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, a lot of other companies don't directly sell books through their apps anymore. This is because Apple implemented a policy, I think last year, that basically said if you wanted to do in-app purchases, you have to do it through iTunes and pay Apple 30%. If Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble is paying 30% of every ebook, Apple would be making a lot more money. So one of the things here with iBooks is you can actually purchase books right on the unit. So this is one of the few ebook apps that you could purchase content from. So that's iBooks. Of course, there's the Amazon Kindle app. Many people do business with Amazon.
You see here, everything is might be recognizable if you've been watching our videos. This is the stuff we have synchronized on our Amazon account here at Goody Reader. So, you know, Saving Rachel, World Set Free, all the kind of stuff we've tested before. We've just synchronized it straight to the iPad. You see it keeps our notes and highlights from previous notes and highlights on different devices, so we don't have to go ahead and make new ones if we've already stored those.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the Amazon platform is any notes, annotations, anything that you do, like highlights, they carry over from book to book, from app to app.
Same kind of features here. You can do 2-column or 1-column. Adjust margins, black, sepia, white, same kind of stuff. No page turn animations, just kind of a next page peek.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the Amazon app is fairly basic in terms of like the functionality it does, but I mean, it's perfect. I mean, you could, the core things that you would want to do is you would want to change the size of the text to kind of like find that spot that's ideal for your circumstance, and change like the text altogether. So it doesn't have wingdings, but
oh man, our favorite.
You can change it to like whatever you want. So there's a lot of versatility with this. I would probably say the Amazon app is a little bit more fully featured in terms of like the things that you could do than iBooks, but I do dig the iBooks feature of making like colored highlights and things like that. That's very unique. I really like that. So this is a Kindle app. Of course, you can download different dictionaries. So if you say wanted to download this one, it's pretty simple. It just does it automatically.
It actually tells you the percent as well, not just the bar, so you know how far along.
Yeah, and once you have the dictionary too, you can actually do like audio lookup, so you could like select a word and hear it how it's pronounced. And a lot of the times, you know, as a reader myself, I'll see words and I'll maybe say them in real life phonetically, but I'm actually saying it wrong. So having the audio dictionary is pretty useful, especially when you're reading sort of elevated, you know, nonfiction. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is Zinio. This is, of course, one of our favorite newspaper and magazine companies. Do a lot of purchases and things like that. They are one of the kind of companies that actually allow you to make purchases. Although the resolution is not as pronounced on the iPad mini that it is on the Apple iPad 3 with Retina display, it's pretty solid. I mean, I don't say that this looks bad.
Absolutely not. No, looks pretty good for the size of the screen. I think the resolution is sitting right where it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, pinching and zooming. Even when you scroll in pretty far, well, maybe a bad example. Zoom in on his facial hair.
Find a comfortable level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that looks good.
You zoom in anything too far and you're just going to pixelate it.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. So one of the cool things about Zinio is that when you purchase things, you can actually set it up to be text flow. So instead of reading it sort of in this conventional layout, you can get it so just all text, no pictures. You're pretty well good to go. So this is just like a sample and whatnot. But they do have like an expansive a collection of magazines, so it really doesn't matter what you're into. They have it all. Even some of the obscure UK tech magazines that I read, like Stuff and Play.tm. I mean, they have everything. They even have like a lot of foreign language stuff, like magazines from like Germany and Europe and stuff like that. Past issues, all the covers, gives you a good track record. It's usually fairly cheaper to purchase like the subscription in digital form rather than just take out subscriptions like in a print form.
We will actually be reviewing this when it upon launch day in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
So you could just see like even magazine to magazine, like the layout totally changes. It's pretty easy just to pinch and zoom and then just to read like this.
The text is very readable.
Yeah, totally.
Very readable.
That's one of the things that I'm liking about the iPad mini already. One of the things that we have not looked at so far is comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I have the Marvel app on pretty well all the iPads we've ever reviewed. So, of course, we are reading in landscape mode. If we were to like flip it into portrait mode, this would automatically conform to the full screen.
Absolutely. It wouldn't come across quite as good on camera, but it definitely is very, very clear. It doesn't have that amazing infinite zoom we've seen on the Microsoft Surface where you can go into as far as 1 pixel, but it definitely leaves you at a comfortable level here.
Yeah, I mean, the art looks good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just actually read this today on my iPad 3 with Retina display as it's being marketed and is now, and it pretty well looks the same. So there's really no lag when you turn things. It's pretty quick. I mean, churning panels is just as fast on here as it is on the iPad 3. So despite the fact that it's a smaller package, you're not really suffering too much. Of course, that's the guided view technology that we were looking at. So let's go back to the home screen for a second. Oops. And we'll look at just added. So one of the things that I've noticed already that unlike the iPad 3, it doesn't really give you the HD versions. So it does look like when you're buying comics through the Marvel app that you're not getting those CMX HDs or HD versions of comics. So you're kind of just getting them in standard def. We'll show you comics side by side on the iPad 3 along with this in our full review. So now that we've looked at pretty well all the reading, Peter, what do you think?
I think it's very readable. We've gone through magazines, we've gone through we went through books, we went through comics. Panel view works great. Pinch and zoom is lightning fast. There's none of that pixelation until you reach the point where it fully renders. So far, you know, with the size of the screen, it's doing more than just fine. I mean, we've seen readable stuff like this on the Kindle Fire, and that's a 7-inch. So
yeah, it's 7 inches is definitely probably the most popular form of tablet. In terms of reading, I think this tablet is like really great. I think it's the portability factor that really does like a good job.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's
just go forward here a little bit and we'll get into some sound.
Hold on a second. Oh, good heavens. You didn't think you were in the real observatory, did you?
Dun dun dun.
The death ray, minion. Death ray ready.
So you can watch it with the letterbox, or you could just like go full screen.
The colors look amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised like how well this actually looks.
Justice is a non-corrosive metal. But metals can be
So one of the benefits of the better sound is the 2 speakers, and this is for the first like iPad device that feature 2 speakers. So last thing here is music. We've made purchases before, just to give you a sense on like how music it is.
We'll just put the mic up to the speakers here.
I was driving home in a Dodge Stratus.
And of course, it keeps playing if you want to listen to your. How do you stop that? Oh, there you go, top left. It keeps playing throughout your device in case you want to read a book with some background instrumental music or so forth.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, obviously with the Apple ecosystem, there's really no point sort of giving you like tons of information because, I mean, it's been fairly well documented. I'll show you the web browser on this sort of 7-inch one because, I mean, this is the first 7-inch tablet the company's ever put out, so. So this is just the web browser. Show you our news website here, where you can get all the latest news, previews, interviews, industry coverage.
I loaded very quickly for the amount of pictures and text we have here.
Yeah, I was actually surprised, and this is
Very
like the
fast.
first time we've actually powered the web browser on this version of the iPad. So it's the iPad Mini, of course.
Very quick.
Yeah, and you're not seeing any of that artifacting.
No, it's a couple cuts there, but nothing substantial. It's very clear, very crisp.
Of course, it will play embedded YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And a whole lot more. So pretty well, this has been our review of the iPad Mini. It's a little bit more expensive than most other 7-inch tablets out there, including the Nexus 7, Amazon Kindle Fire HD. You're looking at probably anywhere between like $50 and almost like $100 more. It all depends if you are already invested in the Apple ecosystem and you're looking for a more portable device to take the meetings, to take on a plane. Already, you know, this has more portability factor than the traditional 9.7-inch iPad. So if you already have an iPad and you're looking for a second device to mainly take to the beach, to take on vacations, a plane, take to board meetings and whatnot, this might be a really good investment. If you're looking for an iPad for the first time and you've never had one before, the price point is pretty sweet. You look at this bottom end model is roughly about $330 for the 16 gig Wi-Fi version, and the entry level for like the normal iPad with like Retina display is about $100 plus more. So it all depends on what type of screen real estate that you want. Let's hear your thoughts. Of course, you could comment on this video and let us know what you think. youtube.com/goodereader. And for a Good eReader review of the iPad mini, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.